Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special Fight in Focus. I'm Josh Chernoff, and today I have the honor of being joined by the one and only David Crockett. Thank you so much for being here. This is huge to have you here.
Hey, listen, I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I think we're all excited because you are here to talk about the return of the Crockett Cup, which comes to you. It's a two-night event here on Fight, and it comes to you live on March 19th and 20th. That's Saturday and Sunday, right here again, as I said, on Fight, of course, from the NWA. So right off the bat, we're going to talk about it. It's been announced. You will be there. You will be in attendance. Yes. That is exciting in and of itself. You know, it's one thing to say, hey, we're using the Crockett Cup, the Crockett name, but to have an actual Crockett there kind of really legitimizes and shows that this is the Crockett Cup. I wanted to ask you, though, this is the fifth Crockett Cup, if I'm not mistaken. There was about 31 years between the third and the fourth. And we thought, hey, we're back. We're rolling now. In 2019, you know, here we go every year. And then, of course, I think we all know what happened in 2020 and 2021. So here we are, though. We're back now. The Crockett Cup is coming back. But for all intents and purposes, there's only been one other in over 30 years. Going all the way back, the Crockett Cup, of course, for those who aren't aware, if you can fill us in and everything, it is named for your father, Jim Crockett Sr.
That is correct.
Can you go back to just the history of it, just where the idea for this tournament came from? Why a tag team tournament? Just all of that. If you could enlighten us, please.
Well, at the time, most of the territories, I guess we could call them, or areas, we had the Von Erichs, Bill Watts, Florida Championship Wrestling. We had Georgia Championship Wrestling. We had at the time. We also had the TBS show, which we could broadcast nationwide, from Atlanta. And at that time, too, Vince McMahon was pushing to take over everything. And he was doing a very good job of doing that. We also got with Vern Gagne, AWA. We tried to get all the promoters, throughout the United States, and we said, hey, we're divided right now. If we don't do something to come together, we're just going to be picked off one by one. So, my brother Jimmy, or Jim Jr., and we talked about creating a tournament. And, we were throwing around this, what do we call it? And, also the place. The place was New Orleans, the Superdome. That is a big place.
Yeah.
So you're thinking big. At that time. Also, that area was Bill Watts. So, here goes, we're expanding, working with the different promoters. And it seemed at that time, most of the areas were tag team within the NWA. That, you had some, I want to say out west, Washington State, maybe up in Pittsburgh, that area. Harley races, they were more singles.
Sure.
But getting back to it, we approached everyone and said, hey, how about we do this? And so they agreed, golly, that was a challenge in itself.
I was going to say, that's no easy task. The fact that you got everyone to agree.
No Indians. You had all chiefs. Think about that. Egos, oh, my word, the Superdome couldn't handle the egos. Man. And, my job was producing the event as far as television, working with that. Jimmy had to deal with the back. Oh Lord! Man,
I just we know so much more about the back when this was actually taking place. us fans really didn't know very much. We didn't have that peek behind the curtain that we have today. And now there have been so many stories told, and you and your brother both had the opportunity at a StarCast event. You were able to tell so much about the history. We now know so much about it, but man, back then, I think fans just were excited. I don't think anybody truly appreciated, and maybe to this day, still don't truly appreciate how monumental that really was just to pull that off, to get all of those promoters to bring all of that talent together.
Yes.
Man.
And still, you had to have winners and you had to have losers. Now that, and besides getting the promoters together, now that's the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
Who wins, who loses. And the backstage probably, to me, was more exciting than what was happening in the ring.
Yeah.
The fans need to think about, here you had some of the best tag teams in the world coming together, in New Orleans, and everybody wants to be number one, or they don't want to lay on their back and be counted 1, 2, 3. They want a DQ or a count out, or, and, the philosophy then, Jimmy was a very good diplomat about it. And, that it took creative, you had to get everybody to buy in, to buy into, and we were as excited as the fans, because this was, the first time, that we had, ventured out and tried to create something or produce something this big. It was monumental. As far as lighting, I look at it as far as lighting, sound, camera placement, the number of cameras, pyrotechnics, it just goes on and on. On my end, telephones, uplinking, it just, but, my end was easier than Jimmy's end. Yeah. But and it was.
But you needed both.
We were very
You needed
proud.
both to pull this off.
Pardon?
You needed both ends to pull this off, though. Yeah.
Yes, we did. And, Dusty was with us at that time, and Dusty is a great diplomat. Bill Watts worked with us quite a lot, with it. Bill sort of has a certain way about him, with the guys. And it was so much fun for me. You say, how do you have fun? The stress level was, you don't get a second chance. Think about that. You've been there, that with live, there is, you screw it up, you can't go back and fix it in post.
Nope.
And also we had our mother there. And, she was, it was named after, the Jim Crockett Cup, was named after our dad. So she's always been, the matriarch, and she was a very opinionated woman. And she let us know, what was right and what was wrong, with it. Yeah. But talking to the fans there had a great time. They were not, there was no flat place, as far as action. Yeah. Action was 24/7. In and out of the ring, backstage, in New Orleans itself. Oh, the wrestlers and going down Bourbon Street.
You picked such a calm
I wish I had a camera
place.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Picked such a calm, quiet area where there was nothing anyone could do to get in any trouble. So the Crockett Cup, obviously the first one was a success.
Yes.
At what point in time did you know that you were going to do a second one? Was it always the plan of, hey, this is the first annual? Was it all right, well, let's, fingers crossed this is a success, and then we'll talk about another one? At what point did you know, all right, we are doing a second one?
The promoters, some wanted it again, others did not. So you take the ones that did want it and you worked with them for the second, and it was a good 3 months getting feedback from the promoters and the wrestlers. The wrestlers had a big part in this,
Sure.
If you think about it. And, they, once the learning curve, the first one was a learning curve for everyone. And so then you have a better idea. And the second time you do it better. And just like the third time, fourth time, if you're satisfied, it's not going to work. You have to pick it apart. And, my end I picked apart. Jimmy and Dusty got together. Ole Anderson was part of that group. So, that we had a lot of creative minds, working, at first people, bookers were hesitant. Then they saw, oh, okay, this will work. Some of them, okay, okay, my guys don't have to quote win. If it's a heel, they can lose, but they can get their heat back by beating the hell out of the baby faces.
Sure.
Afterwards. So, we showed we could do it, one, and the bookers and promoters and the wrestlers said, okay.
So was there anyone who had for lack of a better term, a little boo-boo face at the end? Was there any promoter or any wrestler after that first one that you said there were some that didn't want to do it again? Were there any promoters that just kind of were just, they agreed to it, but at the end they were just the whole time complaining their guys should be going over, this should be happening, that should be happening?
They wanted part of the revenue.
Yeah, I guess that's right. That's the most important.
That was, that's what they saw. We left a lot on the table, but we were paying the talent.
Right.
And, the bookers got something, and promoters, not really. We gave them flights, in nice hotel rooms and took care of them at the building and, around New Orleans. So, it was a free vacation for them, but the talent we paid and the bookers that helped us. So then other bookers wanted to get involved.
So then you go on, you have the second one, you have the third one. And then of course, Ted Turner comes in and the purchase, and we all know that story.
Right.
The Crockett Cup, seemingly that's it. That's it for that. 31.
You know why?
Why? Yes, please tell me why.
Because it was Crockett. I was told, Jack Petrick, Jim Hurd was the executive vice president. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I was announcing.
Right.
And Jim Hurd said, David, we were going to Columbus. And he said, you don't need to go to Columbus to announce tonight. I want you to come to dinner with me. And I thought it was strange. But he said, I cannot have, Turner Broadcasting cannot have a Crockett, name announcing, because then it's still Crockett. We cannot do the Crockett Cup anymore because it's Crockett. We can change it, call it something else, but it is not going to be Crockett. The strange thing is they took the cup and they put it on display at CNN Center. Okay, come on.
Wow.
Explain that one to me.
Was that more like they hunted something and mounted it to their wall? What was the mindset, Or if you're so proud of it, that's a great question. Maybe that's, maybe they were very, Ted Turner was a fan. Maybe they really respected it, But then on the business side of it, okay, we get that. If we're trying to say, hey, Crockett's are out, Turner Network is in, I mean, you can understand from their point of view. Whether you agree with it, or not is a different story.
Well, now
let's lose a quality announcer because of his last name. But
Ted Turner, when we first went there, was the only person that wanted us.
Yeah.
Only. Jack Petrick took us on just because Ted told him to. Jim Hurd, really didn't, then you go, to Scott Sassa and the whole thing. We were the redheaded stepchildren of Ted Turner. And we got to the point that we were proud of that we were number one in our time slot. We cost less to produce than the Braves or the Hawks, and Ted always sort of threw us up at board meetings saying, why can't you guys get ratings like these guys? And so they hated us, they being, most people on the board. Yeah. The only thing that helped, we went through, gosh, so many people. Finally, Bill Shaw, who at that time was head of, think about this, HR. And he told me, he said, he was at the board meeting, and Ted said, all right, somebody's got to take him over, because I forget who left or was terminated, let's put it that way. So Bill, nobody would do it. So Bill raised his hand, and he did it. And what a fantastic individual he was. He understood people. That's when he brought, matter of fact, he was looking for an executive vice president. I interviewed for the position. That's when he said, again, David, you can't do it. That's Crockett. You're a Crockett. You can't do it. So he said, I had this young guy, Eric Bischoff, who Eric was doing the 900 line for us. That was a quote, I guess, our streaming at the time, we might want to call it. And he said, he's got some good ideas, and I want you to protect him, help him, guard him. And I said, okay. So it took off, with Eric. Bill Shaw put Hogan to a contract. He said, we need the name recognition nationally, and Hogan can do that for us. And so it went. And then Time Warner bought us, and Bill Shaw was let go, but he went and started managing Ted Turner's properties, that ranch out in Montana, which I'd love to, gone with him.
Was there ever any resentment on your end from the fact where there are times you interview for a job and no one's saying, oh, David, we don't think you are qualified. Oh, we don't think you'd be good at this. They're pretty much just saying, unfortunately, your last name's Crockett. So it's a no from us. Was there resentment to that?
But there was I developed somewhat of an attitude in that they would give me things hoping that I would fail so they could, let's put it this way. The first 5 years, I had a consulting agreement. After that, they asked me to stay. So I ended up there for 15 years. Yeah. Until AOL bought them, and that's when, AOL hated us. I mean, big time. And that's when, they got rid of us. And then the question is, yes, I developed an attitude which made me mad. I said, I'm going to make this work. And, and I did. And Eric had faith in me. He made me executive vice president of television production. That's what I was doing, at Jim Crockett Promotions. So it fit in. I couldn't do these things without the people I was working with. You look at Jeff Bornstein, the lighting director for AEW. Keith Mitchell just retired from AEW. people in audio, a lot of the cameramen, you name it. We worked together for so long, and that was great. That's my satisfaction.
So behind you, anybody who's watching this right now has been wondering from the moment you came on screen, what is going on behind you, that WCW Nitro sign. If you were a fan, or even if you just watch it nowadays, watch the old videos, that is just instantly recognizable. And we talked off air. That is one of the actual WCW Nitro signs from the set.
Yes.
Can you tell us
the original?
Do you know which one it is? Because I know there was the one above the entranceway. There was the one by the announce desk. Do you happen to know which one, or is it just?
I don't. And if you think about it, too, the original set was just trussing. I mean, we had to quickly put something together
But so iconic, too.
Yeah.
For what it was.
It was very simple, elegant. It was great. The Turner set people, design people, were great about that. They were a big help. They loved us. They didn't hate us. But yeah, that's special. That is definitely special.
That's really cool. And you said there were only 4 of them, right?
Right, only 4. Tony Schiavone has one. Doug Dellinger, head of security, he has one, and I have one. I am not sure where the 4th is.
If I had to guess, it's somewhere in Stamford, Connecticut. But
could be.
So, and then
also, let me finish. If you look back there, see that racing uniform?
Yeah,
that's WCW, the Bush Series.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cal Petty Jr. Was in that uniform.
That's very cool. And then, of course, we have the what looks like Spring Stampede from the WCW NWO days.
Right. Poster from Australia when we produced Nitro over there. And then behind my head, that is one of the 2 original NWA World Tag Team Championship belts.
Some of the most iconic belts in the history of wrestling. The people will fight each other tooth and nail of what's the most classic tag title and whatnot. People who are big fans of championship belts, and that is always in the conversation when you think about the great names that have physically held that belt that is over your head there. It's incredible. Yeah, you have so much history there, and so much history in the business, and that's pretty much what we're talking about here. We're talking about history and bringing it back to the fans. Of course, again, March 19th, March 20th, it's a 2-night event. The Crockett Cup returns. So let's jump forward 31 years. Billy Corgan, the NWA, they decided we're bringing back the Crockett Cup.
Right.
Were you informed? Were you asked? What was your knowledge and or involvement with the return in 2019?
Absolutely nothing. Believe it or not, that just happened, and I knew about it. I said, well, okay, And
I'm curious. What's your reaction? And did you hear about it just like everybody else heard about it when it was announced?
Yes.
Wow.
I did. Well, if you think, my sister Frances, she has the Crockett Foundation, and I think they worked with her.
And we should note there was the Crockett Foundation. I don't know if it was called the Crockett Foundation Cup, but there was one event that the Crockett Foundation held similar to the Crockett Cup,
right?
But no specific promotion in the way that the NWA is promoting this now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
moving forward, I wanted to sit back and see what was going on. It's, I've been watching from afar, you might say. And I have, I know this is the NWA with Billy. It can go. It can make. That's one reason I'm going to Nashville. You look at these two belts behind me. I might talk to Billy and think about that. Now you're the first, because just us talking. Why not? Right?
Absolutely.
That could be. And I'll take him up there, and we'll just wait and see.
Wow.
So you got the scoop.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That would be incredible. Right. So you're going to be out there. You'll be a part of this. So the Crockett Cup came back, we mentioned before, in 2019. It was meant to come back as an annual event. Of course, the pandemic happened. That changed a lot of plans for everybody. But we are back now, this 2-night event. And of course, it's not just the tournament. There'll also be, we have Matt Cardona is defending the NWA championship against Nick Aldis, with Jeff Jarrett as the special guest referee. So that's 3 current and former NWA champions there. Jeff Jarrett, of course, long history in this business.
Yes.
So having all of that be a part of this, the way that it's being presented, after so many years of, obviously you continued and had a long, successful career in the industry, but so many years of that Crockett name being, well, we just can't use it. We don't want to say it. We can't,
Right.
How good does it feel, or how rewarding is it to now see the Crockett Cup back, and to have the Crockett name, and just Jim Crockett Promotions in general? People now look back on it openly in such a fond way. They hide it. They hold it rather in such high regard, where fans may always have, but for a long time it was kind of buried. We don't talk about it. How good does it feel now to have that back?
Oh, it's wonderful. Matter of fact, think about this. My brother Jimmy passed away a year ago, March. He was fortunate enough, I convinced him to go to Baltimore for like a fan fest. And, he's, why? It's Dad. He went and he said, I can't believe they still remember us. They still love us. I said, that's right. And what we need to do is go out and acknowledge thank you, because it's the fans that made us, that we produce the shows, but them watching and coming, well, we need to go out. Unfortunately he passed away, and I enjoy talking to the fans and listening to what they remember, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. You say it's the fans that made you, but at the same time, the fans can say it's you who made them fans. So it's it's a relationship there.
Yeah, it's chicken or the egg, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm so I think everyone's grateful to you that you convinced your brother to come out there. I actually had the opportunity to meet him and interview both of you then, and he could not have been kinder to me. You were just a big bully, but no, it's always just been, it was so great to be able to meet him. And that's something that I think us as fans, or even anybody like myself involved in the business for such a long time, that was kind of, if you had asked me, who are people that you hope to interview? Well, he wouldn't have even been, it would have just been like, well, obviously I'm never going to have an opportunity to interview Jim Crockett Jr. It's just never going to happen. And then there it was, and I couldn't believe it. That was, it's great when something is so far beyond your expectation of what you could even put on a bucket list, and then you're able to actually achieve that. So thank you personally for convincing him to do that. And then on behalf of all the fans, thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Josh. But, I'm excited to go and see those fans, and talk to them and find out what they think, and they bring up things that I forgot about, and that's the fun part. They'll ask me about a situation. I said, golly, I forgot about that.
Right. It was a monumental moment.
You have to be on your P's and Q's.
Yeah, well, it's a monumental moment for these fans that they'll never forget. And for you, it was a Saturday, right? And then you moved on to the next town and the next show. And so that's got to be really cool to be able to do that. Anything in particular that you're looking forward to with this event outside of just seeing the fans? I know that's kind of what you're most looking forward to, but anything in particular?
The fans, talking, see if it's going to be an annual event.
Oh, I feel like this is just me. This is not on behalf of FITE or the NWA. I feel like it has to be. I mean, it's the excitement that everybody has for it. It's even all the way down to the artwork that they've presented for it. It has such a regal feel to it. It really just shows you how meaningful the Crockett Cup is. And I know that there are a number of tag teams that are waiting and just can't wait for their opportunity this weekend to be able to fight for this. I mean, think about that. I talked about something that's so far out of your mind as being on a bucket list, to being able to interview your brother and interview yourself even. But look at these wrestlers who now, for 30 years, they're growing up. Never in their minds did they think, well, hey, maybe one day I could win the Crockett Cup, right? It was just, well, that's long gone, never going to happen. And now these young stars have the opportunity to fight for something so unbelievably prestigious.
And that's a credit to Billy.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Credit, in his vision. And I want to help in any way I can to increase the household name of the NWA, to let the younger generation know about Jim Crockett, and what he did. Yes, I'm excited definitely to be there, to watch these matches, to watch this young talent, because I have to call him young, because I'm an old fart.
At this point, I have to call him young too. I see these people. It's incredible.
It's going to be exciting for everyone. There. I'm looking forward to it. To see the younger generation of wrestlers come through and just watch, and I'll be excited. I'm a fan. Come on, I'm a fan. That's a big thing to me. I couldn't do it any other way.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here on FITE In Focus. Everybody, please go now, if you haven't yet, and order the NWA Crockett Cup 2-night event. You're going to want to get that bundle. It's 2 nights, so you want to go right now. The Crockett Cup. It's going to be great. Thank you, David Crockett, for being here on FITE In Focus. It means so much to have you here.
Josh, thank you very much, and I thank FITE.
We thank you. We'll just keep thanking back and forth. And while we're thanking each other, you go now and order the Crockett Cup on FITE. I'm Josh Chernoff. He's David Crockett, and we will see you live on March 19th and 20th, the return of the Crockett Cup.